Alton Towers, one of the biggest amusement parks in Britain. It's closed for the winter. But behind the security fence, something's going on. They're building a secret weapon. It's designed to strike terror into the hearts of millions and make them pay for the privilege. Alton Towers is located in the middle of England.
It is situated in the most gorgeous part of the country. 500 acres of landscape parkland in the middle of Staffordshire. It really is a stunning setting, and once people get here they know that they're in somewhere, that they're out of the way, they've almost crossed an imaginary border from their real lives into fantasy, and you know, that is extremely useful in terms of getting across the message of just how special Alton Towers is.
Originally a stately home, Alton Towers has been a visitor attraction since the last century. But since the 1980s, it's grown into a massive amusement park, a byword for big rides, big thrills. But a softer Disneyland image was added after the park became part of the Tussaud Group in 1990. The idea is to appeal to the family market. There are regular shows with well-known children's characters like Peter Rabbit on ice. There are gentle water rides and other attractions. And an area called the Land of Make-Believe, specifically for the younger visitors. As in Disneyland, staff dress up as characters linked to themes in the park and mingle with the customers.
Hey! Okay, you're in! Stop dancing gravedigger.
Alton Towers' proposition, as we would call it, is Britain's most magical experience, and this is one of our key marketing strategies. When we develop new areas on the park, the way the theme looks, the way the park is presented on a daily basis to the people, it has to be magical, it has to be unique, and it has to be something that uplifts people, if you like. How you define magic is a sort of endlessly difficult question, but we do have a definition that we use to try and make people understand what we're trying to achieve. We call it the night before Christmas. What this is about, if you think back to when you were 8 or 9 or 10 years old and you're a little kid and you're just putting your head down to go to sleep the night before Christmas, and if you think of the excitement and the emotion and everything that's churning around your head or your tummy or whatever it may be, that sort of excitement, if you like, and expectation, anticipation, is very much what we want to achieve the night before a kid comes to Alton Towers.
With around 3 million visitors a year and a turnover of £50 million, Alton Towers claims to be Britain's leading theme park and its most popular paid-for visitor attraction. But underlying this is a problem of image. In the past, A large fraction of their customers were thrill seekers. Teenagers drawn to the big rides, the feeling of danger. But in the 1990s, population forecasts indicated that there would be fewer 15 to 24-year-olds in their marketplace, a drop of 1.7 million. To keep up its profits, Alton Towers began investing heavily to attract families. But now the balance has swung too far the other way. They've got the families, but are they losing out on the teenage thrill seekers? Nemesis. Currently their top thrill ride. The idea is you're riding an alien monster. Very different from sitting in a traditional ride car, it feels like there's nothing between you and the ground. Nemesis caused a sensation when it was first launched, but that was in 1994, and for many thrill-seeking customers, it's now old hat. Alton Towers needs something new to bring back the teenagers. A secret weapon.
SW4 stands for Secret Weapon 4, which is not the name, but that's the code name for our Secret Weapon new project. What it is, it's the world's first vertical drop roller coaster, and we're sort of particularly proud of that as a concept, because in many ways that's been the roller coaster's holy grail for many years. One of the very, very clever things about the ride, I believe, is you're seated 8 wide, so it's vast for a coaster. It's 2 rows deep, and the second row is higher than the first row, such that when you're on the edge and you're about to plummet vertically, everybody is going to have the feeling that they're about to vertically drop with nothing in front of them.
So you just want to terrify people?
I suppose for some people it will be fairly terrifying.
So as Divisional Marketing Director, will you be the first one to actually try the ride out?
One of the first. The first time the coaster's run, it's run with sandbags. And then after that, the very first person that will ride it will be the chap who's the main designer. There's 1 or 2 other of us that may ride it in conjunction with him, or we may let him ride it on its own, probably depending on whether we think there's anything wrong in the first test.
The news of the new ride is already creating great interest among the country's roller coaster enthusiasts.
Do you think it will provide something new?
I think it will provide a new thrill that no one will have done this before. No one can imagine what the thrill is going to be like because there's no other ride to compare it to in the world. So I think for the very first go that people have on it, it's going to be very unique.
SW4 will cost £12 million. It will have a major impact on all marketing work in Alton Towers.
A major new attraction like SW4 really will drive visitor numbers, hopefully drive profitability, and have a big impact. So it would be foolhardy for it not to be central to nearly all aspects of our marketing strategy.
And what sort of budget have you got for buying airtime?
Well, the total marketing budgets for Alton Towers is £5 million. We haven't decided the exact amount that will go into TV advertising yet, but it's a good chunk of that.
There will be one main advert for the new ride.
Come March next year, we will want 80 to 85%, particularly of 16 to 24s, but to an extent of all people in the UK, to have seen this ad 3 or 4 times. Which is, you know, a fairly standard big burst, if you like. Then we'll follow it up during the course of the year with some smaller bursts, and we'll probably, during the course of the year, and to a certain extent in the first burst, use some 10-second cut downs of it as well.
Alton Towers has commissioned agency J. Walter Thompson to make the ad.
The colours are strongly the orange and the darkness in the background, which are the colours we've used throughout the design work for the ride. As we're all aware, there is a feeling, however anecdotal it may be, that some of the youth credibility for Alton Towers has declined or diminished recently, and the new ride does allow us to attempt to rebuild that. In terms of just thinking about the target audience, they do like to think they've done it all before. They could probably do anything, nothing really scares them, but it is uncool to resist a challenge, and they tend to sarcastically mock lesser ones, so we do have to position this as a challenge to them. Specifically against youth, we need to throw down an irresistible challenge to single adults to clearly communicate the ride's USP, face down free falling, and the terrifying intensity of that experience. The single-minded response we wanted to put across was Oblivion, you must be joking.
Oblivion will be the name for the new ride, though no one outside a select few yet know it. A storyboard helps them visualise the advert before they commit hundreds of thousands of pounds to making it. The ad will open in semi-darkness, a hand frantically clinging to a rail. Cut to a face. He's petrified. A bead of sweat runs down his face, but not straight down. It runs off at a right angle. Suddenly, we see he's suspended above a drop. The bead of sweat plunges down and down into oblivion. Then he sees there's someone sitting next to him. Someone strange. Manic. He's not frightened. He wants to be there. He looks back and says, "Don't look down." But the marketing team has a problem with the idea. It goes back to the question of image. How dark can they go?
One thing I've got a bit of misgivings about is the idea of having this weirdo sitting next to him. I'm not convinced that having this a manic weirdo on one of the Alton Towers rides is a good idea. He looks absolutely out of it, a real psycho. I think if we're to use this one, he should be slightly more human, a bit less sinister. I
think the man who delivers Don't Look Down needs to look and be in contrast to our regular man who's on there. He isn't supposed to be a serial killer, but he is supposed to look slightly odd, both in terms of his appearance and how he behaves. And as a sort of casting guide, then a sort of 28-year-old Rutger Hauer would be the sort of looks, which isn't particularly, he's not an assassin, but he does look a bit unusual. You know, he should be odd, and I think that's about right for him, rather than, you know, the next door serial killer.
But their biggest problem is that they have one advert and two distinct markets. If the advert is too scary, they risk putting off families with young children. Not scary enough, and they'll fail to bring back the teenagers. To ease this problem, they turn to other media, such as magazines.
Magazine advertising is extremely useful to us in that we can target our audience very specifically. We know the profile of people who might read a specific magazine and can use that accordingly to give a very specific message. So you can perhaps go a little bit more risque with a 15 to 24-year-old magazine, or you might be able to go more cuddly with a family circle or a woman's own or what have you, because you know, or you would hope, that not too many 15 to 24-year-olds would be reading.
A further complication is that the main target of their advertising is seldom the person actually paying the bills.
In many ways, even though Dad or the head of the household might hold the purse strings, he or she is very rarely the person who makes the decision. Pester power is one of the greatest generators of visits to Alton Towers. So if we do advertisements which specifically appeal to the kids, then if they run along and tug mother's skirt tails and say, we have to go to Alton Towers and we have to go now, then that is extremely strong.
PR is a very important and integral part of our marketing strategy. We probably receive more coverage in total for Alton Towers through PR than we do through purchase media.
PR activity is vital to us because it tends to generate endorsement from a newspaper or from a magazine or from a TV programme, which suggests possibly that we haven't fed them the story, but that they're telling the country about Alton Towers. i.e. there's a new ride that's coming into Alton Towers which is so good that you really must go along and ride it.
Strangely enough, the key to their PR strategy is keeping things secret.
The idea with SW4, which launches in March 1998, is to keep the story under wraps until it's going to work best for us, and it will work best for us in the 2 weeks prior to the start of the season.
There is a certain level of knowledge which is out in the marketplace at the moment, which is there is a world first ride coming to Alton Towers in March 1998. Now, our strategy is one of the information seeping out very slowly over the next 4 months or so.
I've heard a lot of rumours. I've got no idea definitely what it is. I've heard certain rumours about like this being a vertical drop, you know, straight down, whatever, which is really exciting if it is, because a roller coaster's never done that before.
And the considerations for revealing different bits about the ride and the brand SW4 have literally been considered closer to the time, around the March period and end of February period, on a daily basis. So we'll deal with those people on that day, and then exactly on the Sunday we'll reveal that piece of information, on the Tuesday that piece of information, and it really is a very detailed PR planning exercise.
Another form of PR takes the shape of competitions and special offers, perhaps in a newspaper, perhaps on a packet of breakfast cereal. This kind of promotion also helps to make use of off-peak capacity.
So we may say to, say, a newspaper, if you give us this much coverage, we will run a promotion with you. That promotion may then involve some kids go free would be a typical mechanic. So if the adult pays, kids can come in for free. What we tend to do with the promotions is tailor them to particular times. So early season or late season, when we're perhaps not quite so busy, we'll try and encourage people via promotional offers to come at those times. If we can achieve that, that takes the pressure off the peak periods, which leads to better guest satisfaction.
Alton Towers doesn't just promote itself directly to the general public. They also target specific organisations and individuals who they know can bring them large numbers of customers. Perhaps the most important of these are the coach operators, who bring parties of people to Alton Towers from all over Britain. Marketing here usually means making regular sales calls.
Thanks.
But will the new ride have an impact on them?
Yes, it will. It'll have a huge impact. The coach operators are already getting very interested about it and trying to find out what the ride is all about, but we're not telling them at this stage.
Another kind of trade customer are the schools, who organise trips to Alton Towers. They get regular mail shots. Alton Towers now even sells resource packs, which teachers can use to incorporate the amusement park into a lesson.
Somewhere like Alton Towers, for design and technology, it's very interesting to the children because they're already interested in the roller coasters, and to actually find out how they work just gives them an extra sort of bonus to try and, understand and to learn about them.
One growing new segment for Alton Towers' marketing efforts consists of private companies, the corporate market.
We visit companies throughout the year and set up corporate deals for them, and it's like a thank you to the staff. An organiser within a company will set up an offer to Alton Towers, and it will be a discounted weekend for the staff to come along and have a full day on park. So we tend to do this throughout the year, and again it helps us to sort of push business into quieter times. So we'll offer them a special rate to come in when it's slightly quieter at the beginning or the end of the season.
And are there any particular things you put on for companies that aren't available normally?
Yes, there are different things. We can have It's a Knockout sites on park. They can do treasure hunts around the park as well. We do things like exclusive ride time, so they can hire an area of the park just for their company, so they can go on Nemesis as many times as they want to.
The marketing department approaches these different kinds of customers in different ways.
For schools, I think it is direct mail, and it's a case of getting the correct mail and to the correct person, because there's an awful lot of people within a school. With the coach companies, it is direct call, and it's building up this relationship and being able to respond to their needs. Well, again, with the corporate market, really the message is, as well as the fun side of Alton Towers, it's something different and somewhere unique to bring your staff. You know, you can have a meeting in any hotel anywhere in the country, but to come along to the Alton Towers Hotel and to have a day on park, it's completely unique.
What kinds of things do customers complain about most frequently?
The first thing I would say to preempt that question is that a very small proportion of customers actually complain relative to the proportion of visitors we have.
I have been to Alton Towers in the past before, and I had a friend over, and he was from America, and he said, I've got to ride Nemesis. And we got to the Nemesis queue, and it was 3 hours long. Now, well, we had to do it, so we got on, we said we've got to do it, so we loaded our pockets up with food and drink and whatever and got in the queue. It was probably the most boring 3 hours of my life. Now, Nemesis is actually good in that the queue line goes round the ride, you can stand and watch the ride, but by the time you get on it, you're tired, your feet ache, and that's mostly, you know, that could be a lot of your day gone. And I think for, say, somebody new to the park, on a busy day, if they queue 3 hours for Nemesis, maybe 2 hours for another ride or whatever, by the time they've had lunch and got in and out, they'll probably only do a few rides in the day, and they'll probably walk out unhappy, thinking, well, I've spent this money to get in here today, and I've only done a few rides. And also they'll look at all the other rides there and say, oh, I wish I'd done that, and I wish I'd done that.
But at the heart of Alton Towers marketing is the attempt to please different groups: the children, the parents, the thrill-seeking teenagers. It's a difficult balancing act. Is it working?
For example, there's a dedicated children's area, there's all the big white knuckle rides for the teenagers, but there's probably not so many relaxing, gentle rides that the parents could do.
Blackpool Pleasure Beach, Alton Towers' most direct competitor. Something Blackpool's got that Alton Towers hasn't is wooden roller coasters. Its most famous is the Grand National, 2 roller coasters running side by side. Wooden coasters are particularly popular among the enthusiasts.
So what is it about a wooden roller coaster that makes it so much more exciting?
The things that make wooden roller coasters more exciting are the tradition around them, the fact they look like they're works of art. Someone hasn't just taken a crayon and scribbled a few loops and circles. They actually look like someone has thought about them. They've had to be designed well. They have much more shake, rattle and roll about them. They're much more fun, they're much more thrilling. You have much more of a feeling of being out of control. Steel roller coasters feel much more computer controlled. You're welded to the track, nothing's going to happen.
But Alton Towers has other competition to worry about too.
We have to take into account that people enjoy watching television, computer games, Family entertainment centres are becoming more and more important. Shopping on a Sunday is something which we didn't have to consider 5, 6 or 7 years ago, but now is a very real element of competition to us. So we do have to take into account the fact that people can be spending their time doing so many other things than coming to a theme park.
With a limited amount of space and rides, how can Alton Towers respond to such competition? One way is to get people to stay longer. It now has a specially themed hotel, complete with a huge model flying machine in the middle of it. Customers are being attracted to come not just for a day trip, but for a short break to Alton Towers. The park is also selling itself increasingly as a venue for special events.
We hold things like pop concerts as well, and we're looking at holding more and more large-scale events of that nature. Also things like enthusiast events, like hot air ballooning weekends, murder mystery type weekends in the hotel, family fun weeks in the hotel. There are so many more opportunities out there. It's all about exploring these opportunities and communicating them effectively, which is the area that really is up to myself, with a few people here as well, to get these messages across to consumers and the trade alike.
But the major competitive challenge to Alton Towers is likely to come from abroad, from the giant American film companies like Disney.
How would you compare the Alton Towers experience to the Disney experience?
I'd say that Alton Towers is very much a UK theme park. It's a UK interpretation of magic. It's delivered in an Alton Towers kind of way. Disney are very good at what they do, but in many ways it's quite different to what we do. We have a reputation for offering something for all the family, but when it comes to the big rides, for instance, we have a reputation for being real innovators and offering very thrilling, very exciting rides in that respect. Disney don't tend to do that. Their rides aren't as white knuckle, don't quite have the edge of some of our rides.
But what if Disney were to set up in Britain?
If at any stage in the future a huge player came in and set up a business in direct contrast to Alton Towers, then we may have to slightly rethink, just to make absolutely sure that we weren't being swamped by a major competitor who would possibly be a film distributor or something like that, who are using a theme park to really sell their main product, which might be a film or what have you.
Oblivion, the world's first vertical drop roller coaster at Alton Towers.
It was fast, and it was like, wow, is that it? Can I do it again?
I stopped breathing halfway down.
That's my pants. That's the back of my pants.
Did you like it? It was wonderful, yes.
Was it wonderful?
I don't know, just the sheer height of it all.
The vertical drop.
Yeah? Was it scary?
Very.
The worst bit, when you get tipped at the top here. You look down the hole. That's pretty scary.
Is it not scary enough?
No. Don't know, just
The first drop, like when you first come over, and that first little bit, all about 5 seconds, and after that, there's nothing to it.
Nemesis is better. It's longer rides, you know.
Better than Nemesis?
Yeah, loads better.
Why?
In the truth. Scared to death.
Yeah, we're gonna do it again.
We are very good.